Hello, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, and I am here with a special interview with the owner of Cornhole America and one of the founding fathers of the Michigan Cornhole League, Jason Duflo. How you doing tonight, Jason?
Good, Joey. Happy Halloween. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So this past week, you got to travel all the way down to Tampa Bay, Florida for a special cornhole event for one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers players, Donovan Smith. And I believe it was for autistic awareness, correct?
It was. Autism Speaks is the fundraiser that we worked with.
Okay. And how did the event come about, and what was your experience like down there?
Well, it came about because Donovan runs an event yearly anyway. He has a nephew he helped raise who has a nonverbal autism. And, with the coach of the Tampa Bay Bucs, Bruce Arian, he kind of recommends to the players that they do stuff that has some meaning to them. So he's been doing something with bowling for the last few years. Last year with COVID, it got canceled. And this year they kind of thought to get it outdoors and to include cornhole. So they reached out to me, actually looking for a donation from Cornhole America just for a couple sets of boards.
Oh, wow.
And after talking to him, I was actually talking to one of his agents. After talking to him, I was learning that they were trying to call all the companies and try to get a lot of different companies to donate. It wasn't going so well. Yeah. And I asked them if they had any thoughts of just hiring a company. I mean, that we had boards already made for tournaments and that we run that kind of stuff. And so that kind of developed from there. They were a little surprised that I was willing to come down from Michigan. And I was like, well, it's getting cold here, number one. But me and my wife have a son that's down there as well. So it was, we figured we could kill a couple birds with one stone, but the opportunity was huge for us.
Awesome. And so, what was it like, because, when you think of athletes, there's always this perception of professional athletes and, just we have our opinions of them. What was it like being around some of the Buccaneers players?
I keep using the word surreal because, I knew about it a long time ahead of time. And I knew that we had to go down and be professional. You can't be the fanboys, around those guys. There's enough of them. Yeah. And we had to go down and be professional. And I had a group of people that came with us. And Donovan Smith actually got me a couple of tickets for the game the night before. So, we were checking out the stadium, checking out the tailgating going on around there. And we happened to be over by the store. And, I prepared myself, to be in this situation, mentally. Yeah. And we're in line at the store. And next thing you know, Tom Brady walks right by us as he's entering the stadium. And it happened so fast. I couldn't even get a photo. But the hairs on my arms stood up. I had goosebumps, and it was like, holy cow, how am I going to handle this tomorrow? When he actually shows up. So but once we got to the event, we were so busy setting up, worrying about the weather, worrying about making sure everything was right, that we were checking in people fast enough. So we had a small window. So we were in work mode when players started showing up. My wife was sitting there talking to Gio, had no idea that he was a player. And so it was pretty cool. At one point I was going up to check on the registration table, make sure everybody was doing what they were doing. And I looked over, I was standing right next to Richard Sherman. And, I looked over and I don't remember who I was even by, but I might have been talking to myself. I was like, wow, that's Richard Sherman. But, for the most part, we were working. We were all on the same team that day.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very cool. Now, prior to this, what other type of causes have you helped raise awareness for through cornhole tournaments?
The biggest thing for me is probably with breast cancer. My mom is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. I've done a lot of the Susan Komen walks. My grandma struggled with breast cancer, actually eventually lost her life to breast cancer. I have an aunt that does, so that's something that, is very, very close to my family and something that, I like to show my family support for. And then anytime somebody ever asks me for a donation, for something with breast cancer, I try to do my best to accommodate, whether it's even a set of bags or, some advice or whatever. But, running cornhole has been a good way to raise money and raise awareness for some stuff. So, we get asked for stuff all the time. And it's hard to be everywhere all at once. But, usually, we're trying to handle some of the bigger stuff. I know we're going to do some stuff this upcoming year with veterans. That's something that's very important to us as well.
Amazing.
So, and I think we're going to do something with you with CHD. I think we're going to start planning that here soon. So, anytime you can utilize cornhole to help raise awareness for a cause, you might as well do it. I mean, it's becoming the best way to do it. Bowling and golf outings and things like that have become second and third in line to cornhole right now.
Yeah. So, there's going to be a lot of people that probably see this. And so I kind of want to go back from the beginning, because not everybody that sees this is going to know your story. I want to ask you, what made you start Cornhole America?
Well, it was an accident. I'm a softball guy. If anybody knows that, I'm a softball guy. A lot of people I play cornhole with don't really know that, but on Thursdays in the summer, I'm playing softball still at the young age of 47. We've always done Thursday nights because we take Fridays off to recover. But I had a friend that was substituting on our team, and he went to Ohio State. He's not a very good friend. I'm just kidding. He's a good friend. He just went to Ohio State. But he happened to be subbing, and he brought a set of cornhole boards over to my buddy's house. We were doing a cookout and having a couple beers before the softball game. That's how I was introduced to the game. I instantly fell in love with it. I looked at the game as something like, wow, it's easy to make. And so I started making a couple of them. I made one for a buddy that was there that night. He brought it into his backyard in a busier neighborhood. He had 4 or 5 of his friends reach out and ask me if I could make them. And so I just started making them that way. It kind of happened on an accident. It just got busier and busier and busier to the point where I had to quit my day job. Yeah. And, at the same time that was happening, I met Joe Lober, Matt Birschbach. I'm trying to think up here in Sparta. Metzger's Ryan and Emily Metzger. Those guys had all just been recently introduced to cornhole too. And Joe, he didn't start on the building side like I did. He started on the event side. So he had a Moments in Time DJ business, which he still owns. So he ran a couple of cornhole tournaments, and because we fell in love with it, we played in a couple of them. And because we had the equipment and stuff like that, we quickly took those over. So almost from, maybe the first year in, we took over some of the tournaments, started running our own tournaments. So it's been about 15 years of running tournaments now.
So I guess that was going to be my next question, because obviously you have the business side of making boards and bags. When did you start organizing tournaments?
Yeah, it was almost it went hand in hand. Okay. We treated them separately, but they went hand in hand, and it was always easy for me to run a tournament because I had the resources, the boards, the bags. We always had that kind of stuff, so we had the space to store it and the ways to haul it. So we kind of took over some of the other guys that were doing it. Sparta Town and Country Days is probably still the longest active tournament in the state. That's a beer tent during Sparta Town and Country Days. And Ryan Metzger, I think, ran that for the first 3, maybe 4 years. And then I took that one over. Okay. And Joe and Matt were running stuff downtown Grand Rapids with Ritz Coney and stuff like that. And so they had a couple big ones that we participated in. And then we ended up taking over some of the stuff that Joe had going on too.
So if you could maybe give me 3 or 5 places, where are some of your favorite places to run tournaments at?
I like to run them in the big spots. So I like to we shut down Ionia Street last year. That's pretty cool. When you can shut down a whole street in the second largest city in the state and just to play cornhole and have basically a big block party doing what we love to do. That was a lot of fun. We had a DJ out there. We worked with it's not the Drive anymore. It's the
Gold.
The Gold now. But they were there.
They have some sweet jerseys too. By the way.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun. We had a DJ out there. We had the whole street shut down for the day. And that was a lot of fun. But we also did the Cherry Festival, the National Cherry Festival. While the weather wasn't great, but we were right on the bay. We had a giant beer tent set up. We had 32 lanes there, and
Awesome.
we had to turn people away. But it did rain. It wasn't the best tournament ever from a weather standpoint, but it was fun.
Awesome.
Everybody was there with the right attitude. We're all having a good time and meeting a lot of people and drinking some beers.
So now you've done tournaments for fun, getting involved in the community. And I've seen a lot of people that know you're very involved with the West Michigan community, especially the high schools.
Yeah.
Who are some of the high schools you've helped raise money for in West Michigan?
We'd start with Rockford. Would be where my daughter graduated. We did a lot with the sports boosters. We still do a lot with the sports boosters. Obviously, COVID, we took a year off from them. And then Cedar Springs right here. They're the two schools that are close to home for us. I went to Sparta, so that's on the other side of me. We haven't done anything as far as fundraiser goes. We started talking about it a little bit, and then COVID happened. But what we are starting to do is see that schools are starting to get the boards to get, there's somebody that's involved in our cornhole network somewhere that's taking it to a school level and volunteering to get the kids together and do some clubs. So we're seeing that with Grant, Sparta, Cedar Springs, Rockford, Wayland. I believe you have a group down there that's doing some stuff. And, and then we get asked from schools around the state, so we went over and did a football fundraiser with Fenton. And that's kind of new over the last couple of years that the schools are seeing that as a good way to raise money.
Okay. And so with all these years of doing tournaments for fun and for a little competition and even for the awareness in high schools, you recently been starting up the Michigan Cornhole League. And I want to ask you, what's your motivation for starting the Michigan Cornhole League up?
My main motivation, this is a good question because everybody thinks I'm money driven by running cornhole. We have 4 owners in the Michigan Cornhole League, and our main motivation is to continue to grow this at a grassroots level. Yeah. So what we've seen over the years, and I'm sure on social media you can hear some things about me, is I fought hard to make sure that people can come and enjoy a cornhole tournament without just getting their butts kicked by a pro. And a lot of times when you run some of these tournaments and there's money involved, it draws people from a ways away that are very talented and skilled at this. And that's great to have those kinds of competitions, but what it does hurt is the growth of the sport. So, we worked hard this year. We did a lot with the round robin, making sure everybody got 6 or 7 games in the tournament before it came down to, get, cutthroat. But with the Michigan Cornhole League, we saw an opportunity looking at what Texas does to really kind of rank players, keep them in the right lane. And, we don't have to reward a player for being the best as an A player. He can play in a tournament at an A level with other A players, and a player can play at a C level with other C players. And there's no reason that the C people have to fund the A people. And there's, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we're trying to just break it into more categories so players can play. We also recognize that the Texas Cornhole League, is very heavy on the social side of cornhole, meaning those are the guys that are there to have a good time, make new friends, get a night out. Those are people that are meeting wives. They're making new relationships. They're there to have a good time. They're not chasing a paycheck, or they're not chasing the dream of being on ESPN. It's more of it's a social thing. So that fits our mold a little bit better. Joe Clare, if you have ever met Joe Clare over at Michigan Cornhole, he's a heck of a good guy, a lot of fun to be around, and that's what he's promoting too. Yeah. So the biggest problem is that we're trying to instill this culture after 11 or 12 years of really competitive cornhole here in Michigan, and it's hard to change the way that it's set up and organized right now. Everybody's kind of looking at the ACL as being the goal and being the most organized, and it is from a standpoint of a national level, and it's really geared towards the pros. But we're trying to fill some voids where we can make it more of a community sport.
Okay. So I want to follow that up because, I've been to multiple tournaments that you've organized. I guess because certain players have certain preferences. I guess I want to kind of gauge what you've been seeing. Do people prefer the straight up double elimination tournaments, or have you been finding that people are enjoying rounders more?
They're definitely enjoying rounders more. The problem with the double elimination tournament is you're still paying $40, and it's a luck of a draw. I've been in some of the events myself, and I'm pretty decent at this sport. Although there's a lot of people that spend a lot more time playing it than I do. But I've been to tournaments where I just got my ass handed to me 2 straight games, and you're out, you're done.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not a good feeling. And as the director, your job is to make sure everybody's having a good time. And it's not to cater to the top 3; it's to cater to 99%. The people that you want to have a good time, you want them to come back. And I can't tell you how many times I was at a tournament when we were doing double elimination, and I would hear the teams that lost their first 2 games walk out and say, well, that was a fun experiment, and we're never doing that again. And so that was where the no one left behind line kind of came from, is we want to make sure that those guys aren't discouraged so bad that they won't try it again. So the rounders just gives you an opportunity to get 5, 6, 7 games in and test your skills. You get a chance to be there. If you leave in 2 games, you don't get a chance to be there. You're definitely not in the right mindset to be there and talk to the other players and do things to try to get a little bit better. So
one thing about me in sports, and I follow sports pretty closely and professional wrestling as well. And one thing that always fascinates me about those 2 industries is when a second or third generation player or athlete comes around. So I want to talk to you about that because you have a 17-year-old son, Caleb, and how are you feeling as a father watching your son starting to excel at a sport that you loved and brought into his life?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It was not on purpose. It was an accident. Again, this isn't something that I had even thought about. He played baseball, basketball, football his entire school career, but yet he's always been around cornhole. And really, we played it a lot around here, and he's throwing bags, but he kind of did that on his own. I mean, he's had the resources here, but he picked it up on his own and decided it was something he wanted to do. He started with that darn flop shot, and he got really good at it. I came back from that Florida trip, that ACL trip, and I said that to him. I said, you learn that flop shot, you're going to be a dangerous player. I said, because I think that's a style of play that we don't have a whole lot of it up here in Michigan, and it's very dominant from a strategy standpoint. So he got pretty good at it, and then he picked it up with Jaden, and they've been the team. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, it's funny as it's so funny as I throw with Caleb quite a bit, and I actually can hit a flop shot, but it's always unintentionally because I don't know what I'm doing. And so he'll just look at me, and I'm like, I don't know. So because he's in high school, and he's only got a year left, I believe. But I figured this is a good question to ask because I feel like cornhole right now is where bowling was 20 years ago in the surge. Like it's just surging to heights that people may have thought they would never see. And so my question would be with that is, do you think cornhole should be a high school and an Olympic sport?
I think it's on its way to being an Olympic sport. I think it's a long ways away still. There's still, the United States is where this is really booming right now. I don't know if you didn't come to Cedar Springs this year tournament, but right about that time we had met a guy that was from Grand Rapids originally, moved over to Europe, and has actually got a cornhole company going in, I believe it's Slovenia. And he's the only company over there right now. So, talking to some people from overseas, it doesn't have the following that it has here yet, although it has the same grip on people. They get addicted to it pretty quick. So I could see that happening. I don't think that's going to happen in the next decade. as far as an Olympic sport. You're seeing it getting into schools, though. It's getting in there. It's not a super organized thing. Each group, even the American Cornhole League, is offering schools ways to kind of become organized in it. It's going to just have to be local people organizing it and getting things going. But it's great for the schools because schools are so competitive with other sports. Trying to make a basketball team, trying to make a baseball team. There's 40, 50 kids, at some of these bigger schools, all trying for the same job. And cornhole, you can come with 10 people or 50 people and still have a team. So
and so if the opportunity ever arose, could you see yourself with the MCL working with MHSAA?
Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. We haven't talked about that yet at a Michigan Cornhole League level. That's something that's it's probably on the future plan. Right now we're just trying to establish territory, I guess, more than anything. That we've got something everywhere around the state as much as possible to give everybody options, especially over the fall and winter months indoors. So we're kind of leveraging our ability to find venues and negotiate venues and be indoors. And I've always, in the 16 years I've been doing this, I always talk about it being a win-win-win situation, a win for the players, a win that Michigan Cornhole can keep doing it. And then for the venues that they're, it's helping venues. In this case, we've helped a bowling alley, that was almost out of business due to COVID. We ran a cornhole tournament that really, gave them a boost. So there's a lot of things like that have been helpful to the venue. So with the schools, they have the space. The kids are seeming to come out. It does seem like that second generation right now is really picking up the bags and starting to throw them. And it's something that we're looking at.
So I want to ask you a fun question because you've asked all these serious business questions tonight. If you could play a game of cornhole with 3 athletes or celebrities, who would they be and why?
So, like, are we doing me and
3 other people?
Me and a partner against 2 other people?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty surreal, honestly. I played a game of cornhole with O.J. Howard and Donovan Smith down there. Me and Scott Hermson did.
Okay.
And it wasn't much of a match. We actually tried to get them to split up so we could have a fun match, but they wanted to compete against us. We beat them 21-0, and then they wanted to run it back. And I'm like, are you serious? But we did. They got 1 point on us. So, that question would be, more about who would be my idol more than anything. I would, I'm a competitive guy, so I'd probably pick Steve Eiserman to be my partner.
Okay.
That would be a lot of fun. Okay. But then you'd also want to have a humor, and I thought a lot about Will Ferrell. I mean, how cool would that be to play a game with Will Ferrell? He would probably just, as much as people can have fun with this game and the different terminology, you couldn't pick a better guy than Will Ferrell to make some jokes there. Yeah. So let's see who else would be on that list there. I don't know, maybe Tom Cruise, Maverick.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, it's funny you bring that up because that movie's coming out in another 2 months.
Yeah. So, I'll be there.
I guess if I had to give my 3, mine are probably pretty obvious. I would probably have to say WWE superstar. Nope.
Okay.
I'd probably pick Cesaro because he's super athletic for a pro wrestler. I would probably pick Christian McCaffrey. And then Aaron Judge would be my 3.
Okay.
So,
Yankee. Got a Yankee in there.
Yeah, I know. I'm terrible. Where do you see yourself with cornhole in 10 years?
Oh, geez, it's so hard to see the future. This game's changing so fast. Right now we're just in the mix of on the manufacturing side of this, just extreme growth. We're getting some new equipment, stuff that's going to, it's the top of the line equipment. Like, it's like, where do you go after that? I don't know yet, but being able to produce these at a very high volume, high level of quality. And then, we're looking at different licensing agreements and things like that. is awesome. So from a manufacturing side, that's just going to just keep booming. I think we're seeing incredible growth every year. I believe this year was 40% over last year, which was a COVID year. So that just meant that, again, everybody that we made boards for over COVID, they referred somebody. From a standpoint of playing, it's getting to be a competitive world. Everybody thinks they can run an event, and for the most part they can. They've all been to them. They can run an event, but to run the big ones and to be able to really benefit in a larger capacity is what we're hoping to do. The Michigan Cornhole League is something that we're certainly going to work hard on. It's not something we're going to give up on. It is an uphill battle because it hasn't been the ACL and the American Cornhole Organized ACO have both been around in these areas for a long time. So changing people's minds is not easy to do, but the grassroots campaign is going to be awesome. We do have a huge announcement this week. I may have talked to you about it a little bit. You can smile if you know, but I cannot wait. I cannot wait to talk about it with people. It is going to be it's a game changer as far as getting people aware. And so I just like to see where it goes myself. I just we try to stay ahead of the game and stay ahead of the curve.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, where can people find Cornhole America and Michigan Cornhole League?
So both of those, if you just add a .com to both of them, cornholeamerica.com and michigancornholeleague.com. Cornhole America is basically the manufacturing side. We are building boards. We build backyard boards. We build Pro Series boards. We make corn bags, slip and slide bags, all the way up to an ACL Pro bag now. And then Michigan Cornhole League is we got several directors across the state. 4 of us that are organizing it and running it. We're hoping to probably add a 5th. We're going to be hiring a lot of directors that are just going to be running leagues and tournaments for us across the state. So that is, it's a big task. But that website right now has all the information for somebody to find us. And
what social media outlets are you guys on?
We're on, obviously Facebook. I believe we're on Instagram. So this is not my forte.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right.
Who knows? We might be on Twitter. I am not sure. We actually are partnered with Catchmark Technologies to handle some of our social media for the Michigan Cornhole League. And Cornhole America, we're pretty much Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So I guess I'll ask that. But in regards to Michigan Cornhole League and Catchmark, do you foresee a YouTube channel coming to highlight tournaments and leagues?
Yes, and that'll actually is a big part of the announcement that's going to be coming up a little bit because that we are going to be announcing a huge sponsor that's going to really push that and kickstart that here in Michigan.
Awesome, very awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a busy rest of the year and a busy 2022 coming up.
Yeah, we got Christmas coming. So Christmas is probably the second busiest time of the year for us. So
well, just keep at it. And so I want to thank you for your time tonight. I know you're always busy, and people don't know the backstory, but usually Jason and I stay up really late talking to each other when designing boards.
That is early. We're only talking at 10:30. Usually
I know. So, and you're a workaholic, man. I have a great amount of admiration and respect for how hard you work.
I appreciate it.
I do appreciate you taking the time out tonight, and looking forward to seeing the future of Cornhole America, Michigan Cornhole League, and I think a lot of people are excited, and as they should be. Yeah,
well, as usual, you're always welcome to come up and hang out in the offices, Joey. So we'll make some more shirts.
Oh yeah, that was fun. But so we're gonna sign off for the night. This has been Jason Duflo from Cornhole America and Michigan Cornhole League. I am Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, and remember, controversy doesn't come without criticism.
Lights go off.
Hollywood Joe, don't you know?
Lights go off.
Hollywood Joe.